So we are going to start by having a look at, well, some reasons behind why we're using OneDrive. Some of you might be there thinking, well, I email my documents around and I keep things on my desktop or I keep things in shared drives. Why do we need to use OneDrive for sharing and collaborating and keeping things within there? So I've got here a few slides that just sort of demonstrate the point. So just as a scenario, first of all, we've got Steve here on the left-hand side, and he has got a document, and he's sent that document over to Jessica, and now she has a copy of it. So they've both got version 1 of this document. Next, Jessica makes some changes. So now she has version 2, and Steve has version 1. Great. Now she's returned a copy, so version 1 is with Steve, version 2 is with Jessica and Steve, and now Steve's going to change those, and so now Steve has version 3, Jessica has version 2, and Steve has version 1. It all gets a bit confusing. You've got 3 different versions of the document. The latest one is with Steve, the earliest one is with Steve, Jessica has one that isn't the latest version, and if someone comes along to her and says, "Oh, have you got that document? Could I have a look?" Well, she's sharing the one that isn't the latest version. If she makes any changes to it now, there's 2 different latest versions. In addition, Steve can't stop that from happening. It's his document, but if Jessica wants to make any changes, she absolutely can, and it still looks like it's the official document. This gets even harder when we're sharing our document with lots of people. So in this case, Steve is sharing version 1 with 3 different people. And as he sends this out, it's getting spread amongst them, and they're all making changes to it, and now there's 3 different version 2s. And it becomes very difficult to find out what is the latest version, and maybe someone has to collate all of these versions together, but no one really knows whose that job is. And again, Steve doesn't have control over each one of those versions that have been created by those other people. So when we email documents to each other, and that's the way we create different versions of documents, the creator loses control of them. There's lots of copies of them. All of those copies are editable, so people can do whatever they want with them. And there's confusion over the latest version. Who knows which one is the current one? Once it's gone out to 5 different people, all bets are off. So when we use OneDrive and Office 365 to share our documents, what we're really doing is saying that this version 1, we're giving everyone access to that one document. And so now, instead of it being that everyone has their own versions, everyone makes their changes and suggestions to that one version of the document. So there's one copy of the document. It's not lots of copies that have been sent in different places. It's one document. The creator keeps control because they can stop people from editing it at any time. They can pull it back. They can remove those sharing rights. All of the edits are saved automatically. So when you're thinking about shared drives, you might be thinking, well, I don't use email. I use a shared drive, so that's far better. Well, in your shared drive, normally it doesn't let you open a document at the same time as someone else. And if it does let you do that, and someone makes a change, and then you make a change, it removes all of the changes that they made. OneDrive gets around this by saving every change automatically, immediately, no matter how many people are in that document simultaneously. And then previous versions can be retrieved. If something changes and you don't like the way it's changed, then you can go back to that previous version. So that's why OneDrive. It solves a lot of the issues that we come across with these more kind of manual ways of doing editing and version controls and getting different versions and latest versions of documents. So I'm going to move over to OneDrive right now. And this is my OneDrive. And I've opened this just by going to onedrive.com. You can open this in a couple of different ways, but the quickest way, the easiest way to keep it in your head, to keep this open in the background, onedrive.com. And when you get to onedrive.com, you just click on sign in and sign in with your work details. When you get into OneDrive, it might be that OneDrive is empty for you. I've got lots of files and folders and things within OneDrive itself because I've been using this for a little while, but it might be that there isn't much in there for you. Looking down the left-hand side here, we can see our interface to move to over recent files or shared files. We also have a recycling bin. If we were to delete something, we go in there and we can retrieve them from there. So to get started with OneDrive, you've got a couple of different options. You can either click on New and create a document from scratch in here, which is one way of doing it, but more likely we're going to upload and we're choosing a file or a folder. So I'm just going to choose a file right here and I'll upload this document, interactive broadcast. Here we go. So I'll upload that. You'll be able to see in the top right corner. It takes a couple of seconds to upload, and now it's in my OneDrive. If I wanted to organize my OneDrive better, to be honest, I've got the option of creating folders in here as well, and we can add files to my folders. Once I select this file, we can see a whole bunch more options up the top here, including rename, delete, and under the three dots, you've got the ability to move it or copy it somewhere as well. So in order to manage your OneDrive, you might make folders, you might move files into those folders, you might just upload entire folders from your computer if you prefer to organize it there. And one thing that people worry about is, oh, if I put it into OneDrive, I'm sharing things automatically. But you can see down the right-hand side here, I just uploaded this, and it's private. If I put something in OneDrive and I do nothing else to it in terms of sharing, it is just going to be available to me. So I can click on this file, and it's going to open up here. And I can actually edit it online. I can edit it through the internet browser itself, and we get all of the same options here that we normally get. We should remember that this window is here because we're going to come back to it later on. You can see actually it's already started indicating to me that it's saving my changes, whatever I do. So if I change something on here, I'll pop that into bold, and you can see it just a split second. It says saving and then saved. So auto save is that thing I mentioned earlier. All of the changes are saved automatically. Now, a big part of OneDrive is sharing things. And so the way that I can share things within OneDrive, let's just move down to the bottom here because I have made some changes to it. The way that I can share things within OneDrive is by panning my cursor over this little share icon, clicking on that, and then sending the link to people. And again, we're not sending a copy, we're sending a link to this document, which is in my OneDrive. I can click up the top here, and I can change this option. So anyone with a link, it's a nice way of sharing things with people outside of my organization. But if I want to keep something slightly safer, I could say that only people in my organization who have got the link can edit it. It might be only people who I choose can edit it, specific people, and it'll make them log in to prove that it's them before they get access to this document. We then also get the option to do things like open in review mode. We can stop people editing the document, but only allow them to post comments and then bring it back in. And we can't do that with any other application to say, no, you can't edit this. You can only see it. And if you want to change something, add a comment and I'll change it. We can do things like expiration dates. We can set passwords on things. We can block people from downloading it, so it stays on their browser and it doesn't come outside of that. All these ways are ways of keeping this file safe from anyone who wants to change anything on there, or anyone who's accidentally going to change anything on there. If I move back to that sharing window, once I've set up the restrictions that I want, I can then go in here and either send an email to someone. I'll invite Greg along to have a look at this. I'll put a message in there saying, here's the file you were looking for. Or I can just copy the link and I could paste that into an email and send it across to a group of people if I wanted to. So that's how we share that file. And then we would be able to see on the right-hand side that it had been shared. So if I look for a file that has been shared, let's go for this floor walking tracker. If I pan my cursor over the top of it, I get a lot of information. I'll scroll down slightly further so that we can see more on the screen. But I get a lot of information about this. I can see how many times it's been viewed. If I click on that, it'll actually tell me when it was viewed. and on which days people have been looking at it. If I scroll down, I can see all of the, apologies for the messages popping up. I should put myself on Do Not Disturb. But I can see there all of the conversations this has been mentioned in. So it knows, oh, you talked about this in Outlook. Oh, you talked about this in Teams. And I can go back and find those if I want to. I can see any recent views as well popping up on there. If I click on See Details, I can get even more information. I can see Manage Access, for instance. So if I go to Manage Access, I can actually stop sharing. At any point, I can decide to stop sharing this document. Now, looking in the document itself, if I click on this Excel spreadsheet, this is a really good example of a document that only works if it is able to be shared. It's a floor walking tracker. So as part of our job, we send people out and they go to different sites and they walk around and make sure people know how to use their computers, basically. But if I need information about all of these different sites here, and only individuals are able to provide that, so on-site contact, what's the parking situation like? Then I need lots of people to provide me with lots of information. And previously, this might have meant lots of people emailing me and then me putting it together in an Excel spreadsheet on my computer and then sending it off to a bunch of people. But now it means creating one Excel spreadsheet that lots of people can access and they can put the information in themselves. And then we can all see it as it's being updated. So, looking up the top here, I can see this little icon. This document's been shared with others. Well, let's see what's changed. So I can select this, and then I can go to version history. And on the right-hand side, I can move down all of these previous timestamps and see what's been changed. So I can select these, and I can click on the arrow up there. Let's try this one. Oh, actually, no, let's try this one. This was the actual one. I can click on the arrow up there and I can move through and see what was changed on this date at this time. And if I think, you know what, this is a better version than the one we've got now, I could restore it or I can pull a copy out and save that. So we've got all of these different versions here. Everything is being saved automatically and I'm never going to lose anything just by someone editing the document. I can just undo it. I can go back to the previous version. If someone is in this document at the same time as me, it's quite remarkable. You can see up in the top right corner, there would be their initials there, maybe their picture if they're in my organization, and I would be able to see which cell they were editing. So we can do it simultaneously. You do paragraph 5, I'll do paragraph 7. Can you start on the 7th slide? And I'll start at the beginning. It's a great way to everyone work together and speed up a lot of processes, as well as things like this, where we're collating information together. So that's my Excel spreadsheet that I've shared with people. That's how we're accessing information about it. Last thing we'll talk about here is Teams integration. Moving down to the bottom of my window, I'm just going to open up Teams. And we can see by clicking on Files, I can go into this and access my OneDrive cloud storage. And this is exactly the same interface as we saw in OneDrive itself. I can move through, and I can see all of the same options. But one thing that I can do, because we're in Teams, is click on Move, and then choose a team. And I could move this file into a team and share it with my colleagues within there. These are all of the teams that I'm in. In addition, when we go over to chat here, and I choose a conversation that I'm having with one of my colleagues, you may know that you can send attachments on Teams. You may not know that actually what we're doing, if I was to choose upload from my computer and send this across to someone, I'm not finding this and sending them a copy like I do on email. What I'm doing instead is choosing a file, uploading it to OneDrive, and we'll see that happen right now, and then giving this person a link. If I click on this file, I can actually see all of those same options that we saw in OneDrive. So I can change all of those options within here and keep everything in sync. If I've shared things back and forth with this person before, I can click on Files up the top, and I can see all of our previously shared files and documents. I can see these are all shared by me, and as ever, I can open these and I can edit them simultaneously with the person I shared them with. So all of those same options that we get in OneDrive are in Teams. It all fits together. And in fact, you may have been using OneDrive without you realizing it, just by sharing things in Teams. I'll just pop back to OneDrive here, and we can actually see hiding away is a folder called Microsoft Teams chat files. And we can go in there to find anything that I've shared with someone through Microsoft Teams. It's all stored in the same place. So that's the basics of Microsoft OneDrive. Hopefully that will make sense, and hopefully you can see why it's a good idea to use this to share information.